This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Grant.
Welcome inside the studio. It's Monday, an NFL Monday Night Football edition, as we have the NFL season underway, and Monday Night Football still just around the corner tonight, as we are excited as the NFL has returned, Grant.
Oh, it's so great, too.
It's a tremendous feeling.
So
I'm excited. You're excited. The Packers won.
That was fun.
It was a fun game. We're going to get to that in a little bit, but an exciting overall NFL weekend. I had a great time watching a lot of the different games that happened. We saw some rookies shine. We saw some projected Super Bowl contenders just crash and burn. And we saw some good fourth quarter comebacks as well for certain teams. But we'll get all of that throughout our show. We've got an NFL packed show for you today. And we want to just take a moment to remind you, though, that you can listen to us from right here on Spreaker.com from 7 to 8 a.m. Central live. And you can also listen to us from 11 to 1 p.m. Central on Sports Radio America, Live 365, and tune in. And on demand anytime you want on iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Spreaker.com.
You can also find us on Facebook at the Bax and Grant Sports Show. You can also head on over to Twitter at BG Sports Show, also on Instagram at BG Sports Show. Baxter is on Twitter at Baxter Colburn, and I am at Grant's Rant BGSS. There we go.
That happens. That's all right. And if you ever want to get a hold of the show, you can shoot us an email anytime you want at bgsportshow@gmail.com as well. All kinds of fun stuff, an NFL packed show for you today. We're going to be talking about the Green Bay Packers and Chicago Bears in our first segment, but we have so many other NFL-related topics to get to later on in the show. There's so much football that Grant and I can't even, but we can even, because does that make us odd if we both can even? Two evens make? I don't know. It's math and stuff.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's like two negatives make a positive, right? Wasn't that a math thing back in the day? I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway, so the Green Bay Packers, Grant, they win their first game of the season, 31-23 against the Chicago Bears. And I will be frank with you because that's what I do. You and I are both very good at being frank with each other. I wasn't impressed.
Yeah.
Was not impressed one bit, honestly. Yes, it's great as a Packer fan to say, hey, Packers won. That's okay, sure. That's good. You don't get the little tally in the win column. But I was not impressed with several people.
Right. Especially as a whole unit, the defense.
The defense was terrible.
The defense really almost lost this game for the Packers because the Packers scored on almost every single drive. Mm-hmm. One drive was because the half ended, and I believe they punted once or twice.
Packers?
Yes, the Packers. And then for the rest of the game, they just had to optimize, you could say, their, I don't know. So 2 punts, by the way. Yes. They only punted twice. But they had to optimize their possessions because the defense just let the Bears' offense just ground and pound and have these 13 plus.
I was like, where are you going? I look away and I'm like, you're just not talking, and I'm like, what is Grant?
13 to 10 to 13, even sometimes more plays per drive, just grinding down the clock, and
a lot of that, I can tell you why some of that. Yes, there were some injuries going into this game for the Packers, but take away Clay Matthews' interception. That good for Clay. That was a huge play late in the game.
Clay actually played really well.
Clay played very well yesterday. The people that did not play well yesterday, Sam Shields. Shields played horrific yesterday. He did not stand out as well. He stood out for the wrong reasons yesterday.
He got burned a couple times, and he basically gave Chicago one of the touchdowns because of the offsides penalty on a field goal that I don't know where he thought he had the right to go blocking like a 28-yard field goal attempt. And then on a holding penalty later in the drive, he that was clear, happened already. It was pretty much a dead play. Goes and has a holding penalty on one of his receivers, which cancels out the play, which would have moved it to 3rd and goal from the 9-yard line, or 2nd and goal from the 9-yard line, and then made it 2nd and goal on the 4th-yard line instead. And so I was like, come on, dude. Come on. What are you doing? Actually, it would have been 10 yards back. Excuse me. So it would have been 10 yards back. So he had 2 big penalties that cost the Packers in that one drive, which basically gave Chicago the open door to go and score the touchdown.
Yeah, and I think just the run defense as a whole for the Packers. First of all, yes, okay, Jay Cutler got sacked twice yesterday. Woo, go Packers defense. No, the Packers rush defense, the Packers pass rush defense are non-existent. Absolutely non-existent. There is no reason Matt Forte should be running for 100-plus yards against the Packers. There is a very good reason, yes, that he should, because the Packers defense is not playing well. But either way, with some of the players that Green Bay has on their defense, you would assume they could hold Matt Forte to under 100 yards. But they didn't. Eddie Lacy didn't even get to 90 yesterday.
Well, and especially going back to Matt Forte and the defense, Packers defense, they were calling run-stop specific plays. They run-committed, didn't care if they were burned on the pass. They just were like, okay, we're going to show that. We're going to stack the box and bring the outside linebackers down and just wait.
Yes.
And still, they didn't do anything. Like, Matt Forte was still able to run all over the Packers defense. And it was maybe like in the first half of the game, it kind of looked like the Packers were going to be able to stop him. And then he just went off, and it was just, there was just nothing that the Packers could do to stop them.
Now, how do you, looking at the quarterbacks for both sides, yes, Jay Cutler threw that one interception, but he had a fairly decent day as a whole. He only threw one touchdown, but he threw for over 200 yards. He averaged 6 yards a pass, which is not terrible. And then you look at Aaron Rodgers, who threw 3 touchdowns, but he didn't even get over 190 passing yards yesterday. I know it's a tale of two different stories because Rodgers was way more effective with the throws that he completed, while Jay Cutler obviously threw 12 more passes, or 13 more passes than Rodgers did yesterday.
Well, first, Jay Cutler, he almost had another interception, but besides that, he actually did fairly well. He was fairly smart, short passes, not too much. But you could tell when he got like the chance to, do what he wanted to do and got a little pressured, got a little uncomfortable.
Yes.
He started making bad decisions. Like that one, he was feeling pressured. He threw it to the right side of the end zone. There was like 6 different people over there and was, almost intercepted. So he did well, but there's still room for improvement.
If there was one thing that I noticed with both quarterbacks yesterday, it was when the pocket collapsed, their ability to step up in the pocket and then take off if they needed to.
It was really
Aaron Rodgers
well.
And Jay Cutler were the second leading rushers for both teams yesterday.
Aaron Rodgers getting 35 yards and Jay Cutler getting 31 yards.
That's not bad. Both of them, Jay Cutler's longest run was 12 yards. Rodgers' longest run was 15 yards.
Yeah,
I mean, they're not run quarterbacks like
Right.
Michael Vick was back in the day, but they can. I heard on the radio yesterday, Jay Cutler still runs a 4.7 40.
Jeez.
Man's got some speed still. I was like, wait, what? He runs a 4.7. I'm like, okay, Jay, good for you. I mean, I'm one of those people as a whole, and I don't want to make this all about the Bears because that would just be a sin.
Did
but
you just be Troy Aikman?
It is. Yeah, right. That's just Troy Aikman loves the Bears or anybody that plays the Packers.
Exactly.
But Jay Cutler, if he has, number one, a little bit better offensive line, number 2, healthy wide receivers, he could be a top quarterback. Could. Not is, but could.
I don't know because he still makes sometimes poor decisions with the ball. I feel like if that would stop, then I would agree with you. But then, because you were talking about Aaron Rodgers before too, and asking if he played well. I think he played great, even though he didn't get over 200 yards. He maybe didn't put up big, gaudy fantasy numbers, but he only had...
I think he had 22 points in fantasy, something like that.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
He only had 5 incompletions the entire game.
That's not bad at all.
And 1 was dropped by James Jones. We'll get into that. Because, just saying. And just had to throw it out there.
Jumped ahead of me.
Just had to throw it out there.
Anyway.
But like I said, he got... And the Green Bay Packers offense got very, very little possessions. I think that is probably the best way to handle the Packers is to try to keep the defense on the field as long as possible and the offense off the field as long as possible, because how much little opportunity and how well how good the Packers offense had to play to win that game yesterday. because they had to score basically on every drive.
It was a back-and-forth fight. I mean, even going into the middle of the third quarter, it was only 17-16, and I was watching with my wife, and she was like, she had been out of the room for a while and then came back, and she's like, well, this game is still close. I was like, she's like, is it supposed to be? I'm like, not really, no.
People are expecting it to be a blowout, but the Bears played really well.
Exactly. You have to commend the Bears for how well they played with a bit of a banged-up defense and a very much banged-up offense. Now, we need to talk about it, Grant.
Well,
we need to.
I wanted to
What
say,
else do you want to speak about? Because there's something that the fans, we received multiple tweets on, but go.
I know.
Go.
So, I just wanted to say this kind of can lead into the what we're going into, but I've been getting Eddie Lacy crap this offseason and saying that he's not a good running back and he's not deserving the hype. And I guess he didn't really do absolutely fantastic Adrian Peterson status yesterday, but he had 19 carries for 85 yards and a touchdown. And he actually did fairly well. There was a couple runs where he got about 8, 9, sometimes 10 yards. And even though he didn't get that, sometimes he'd get first down handoff. He'd get 5 yards right there. So an easy second and short situation. So what he did really well for the Packers yesterday was he was starting to show that he can give the Packers second and short down situations instead of 2nd and 8, which of course there was a couple of those yesterday.
There was a few times where I remember one play he took a handoff and literally stopped running. Like he hit the offensive line
and just stayed there.
And I'm like, Eddie, the play's still going. Keep moving.
You need to run, buddy.
And I get it. I get it like the whole close, but he just like was sitting with his hand like on the back of a lineman holding the ball, like
kind of just standing there. I don't know where to go.
Okay, I'm gonna go right now. Circle move.
To be fair, there was really nowhere for him to go.
No, there wasn't. It was just funny to see him just like kind of literally stop moving,
looking. There's nowhere to go.
What do I do? Oh, it was funny, but I think overall, yes, Eddie Lacy, like you said, 19 carries, 85 yards, 1 touchdown. Not a bad performance from him as a whole. Now we spoke about the quarterbacks. We spoke about the passing game. Looking at both sides, Alshon Jeffrey, he was fighting his calf injury yesterday. I thought he played fairly well. He led the Bears in receiving with 5 catches for 78 yards. But the Packers defense, when they did play well, did a good job of making sure the Bears' number 1 receiver didn't do a whole lot positively. On the other side, for the Green Bay Packers, Davante Adams, he was the leading wide receiver for the Packers yesterday with 59 yards and 4 catches. However, he was targeted 8 times. So we wanted to know where some of Rodgers' incompletes came from.
Exactly.
4 out of the 5 came targeting Davante Adams.
Right.
Which, there were some good plays defensively.
Yeah, like, it wasn't really mostly drops or anything. There was only one. I don't even think Davante Adams had a drop,
I don't think so, no. I was only able to watch the second half, so I only listened on the radio on the first half.
So. I'm pretty sure Davante Adams did not have a drop. I think there was only one quote-unquote kind of drop.
Okay, kind of, sort of pop.
We'll get into it. We're going to talk about it right now,
Exactly.
actually.
Well, so the reason we need to talk about this, Grant, is that we received multiple tweets over the weekend because for those of you that don't know or still know and just need a refresher, because if you don't have your coffee early in the morning like I do, you forget things. Who are you? Who am I? What is this? Okay,
what?
Anyway, sorry.
I don't know.
The Green Bay Packers re-signed James Jones last week, and Grant was ridiculing the Packers and Ted Thompson and James Jones, and the list goes on, all the way down to the laundry boy. Anyway, he was just upset at the organization.
The guy who handles the footballs.
Yes, the deflated footballs that James Jones caught yesterday. How come that wasn't a thing? Anyway.
That's probably a thing.
And probably was why he caught so many. Anyway, James Jones comes back, and he has 4 receptions for 51 yards and 2 touchdowns yesterday.
One, which was...
Yes, the first touchdown of the game.
That was nice. I was like... Okay, so what happened was he ran a flag route.
Yep.
Flag, corner, whatever.
Same thing.
And then he caught it one hand/shoulder and above, like over the receiver. He had to power up over the receiver, catch it with like one hand against the shoulder, right on the sideline. Got 2 feet down, and I instantly went to Facebook, and I was like, "Thank you, James Jones, eating my words."
You issued an official apology real quick, I will tell you this: as soon as that play happened, I got texts talking about you. I got texts from two different people saying, wait a minute, was that James Jones that just caught a touchdown? Or, oh, how does Grant feel about that? I was like, I am not Grant's keeper. Just because we do the show together does not mean that you need to text me making fun of Grant. You can find his number and you can ridicule him yourself. But I thought it was I'm riding home with Connor Christensen and my wife and another friend from visiting my family this weekend, and as soon as that play happened, I said, wait for it. And sure enough, 30 seconds later, boom, boom, 2 texts right back to back. I was like, and then I got a tweet a minute after that talking about you.
Yep, I figured. I'm like, fine, whatever.
Okay, so how much of this, though, with James Jones was first game hype?
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I'm not officially like, it was great. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
Great job, James. But how much of this now going forward is going to carry over for James Jones?
Exactly. That's what I was also kind of worried about, and / like people were like getting on my case, and I didn't want to be like, oh yeah, it's only first game hype. I was gonna fine, whatever. Yeah, he deserves fine. Yeah, he caught 2 touchdowns. One was excellent. But yeah, exactly. Is it just because it's his first game back?
Or it's the Bears' damaged secondary? I'm curious to know what he does against Seattle secondary next week.
Or you can look at it the flip side and saying maybe it's just Green Bay that's a really good fit for him.
That is very true.
And you have to look at he had 70-plus receptions last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then
but not very many receiving yards, not many touchdowns.
And, I mean, I'm kind of whatever about receiving touchdowns.
Yes.
Because that can really only show
that's how you make your living though as a wide receiver, is the amount of touchdowns that you make.
I would argue more on the yards.
I suppose.
I think touchdowns is very you could inflate that number very easily or just not get as many touchdowns just because.
You said inflate. Anything with flate in the word. Come on. Sorry.
You need to
continue. Just you said it. I'm like, come on.
What? I didn't think anything.
You're fine. Anyway, the numbers can be increased. Yes.
Yeah, and I just don't think touchdowns are a really big deal. So that's when everybody was like, "Oh, he got 14 touchdowns that one year." I'm like, so what? It's more. I look at more of the yards, but he still had in 2012 he had over 800 receiving yards,
which is good.
So,
well, I know
we'll see.
A good overall performance from the Packers as they win 31-23 against the Chicago Bears as they will look to take on the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday night next week. So we're going to go to a break. Yeah. When we come back, Grant's got his rant, and I've got an interesting surprise for Grant as well. You're not going to want to miss it. This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show. Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Grant.
Welcome back inside the studio. Thank you to all of you that are checking us out right here, as you can, every Monday through Friday from 7 to 8 a.m. Central on Spreaker.com and 11 to 1 p.m. Central on SportsRadioAmerica.com as well. And for those of you that are watching us on Periscope, hello and thank you. And we appreciate your listenership/viewership, unless you troll us and we block you. And
it was a little bit savage this morning.
I'll be honest.
Baxter
we turned it on. And there are people that are dropping bombs about teams. Like, I don't mind, like, making fun of, like, the Bears. Like, if you say, oh, you know, screw the Bears. Okay, whatever. That's fine. But somebody came on and was like, F the Lions, F the Bears, F. And I'm like, and you're done. So I blocked him, and I was like, I don't need this. I don't need to see your potty mouth.
He was getting really, really mad.
It's like, this is pure.
I actually haven't seen Baxter that mad.
It's just stupid. Like, don't log on to a Periscope broadcast and just troll the you-know-what out of somebody. Like, I don't need that. I don't need that. Go pick some, like,
really
random,
funny.
like, model or person, like, and just comment on them. And just the comments they were making with Grant and I was like,
there was a little,
I'm like, this is a family show. And we don't need people being you-know-whats about it. Because if you're going to be that way, we don't need you a part of our broadcast. And we will not be sad if we lose your viewership. So
somebody asked if he's still mad about it on Periscope. No,
I'm
he's fine
upset.
now. He's fine now. At
the time, I thought it was highly inappropriate and not professional. So that's my thought about it.
I thought it was funny.
Well, I'm glad you thought
your reaction was probably the funniest part about it.
Some people just don't have any manners. I mean, come on. I would never do that on a broadcast.
No, you wouldn't, but that doesn't mean that people are like you, you know?
Well, it's common courtesy.
Well, some people just don't understand that.
Well, they need some good manners. That's why I'm from the South, I guess. Some good old Southern manners.
The South, you mean Florida.
That's as South as you can get. I'm so South, I'm Northeast. That's how South I am, because we have Boston down there.
Because, Florida is known for their Southern hospitality.
They are?
Not at all.
Don't act like you know Florida.
Don't act like you have manners.
I have manners, thank you.
Florida as a general facet of a state.
The facets.
If you put up Texas or any other southern state with Florida, they're going to say that.
But how many native Floridians are there, though? Let's be honest about that.
I don't know.
Exactly. It doesn't happen often.
I don't know. I'm staying in Wisconsin.
Now, I said to Grant before we went to break that I had a surprise for you.
Yes.
And the surprise that I have is last night, some of you may or may not know that I'm heavily involved with the Miss America organization. My wife used to be a title holder, and I've got numerous friends and other family members that participate still.
Georgia?
Yes, Miss Georgia won last night, so I'm very thrilled by that. My wife and I both really liked her, so we're glad that she won. The interesting thing, though, is that part of the competition is the onstage question.
Right, yeah,
they're asked an onstage question, and Miss Georgia received a Deflategate question. And I, number one, was furious because you don't ask a Deflategate question at a Miss America pageant where everybody else got a political question or something that is actually relevant.
It's relevant, Baxter.
No, it's not. Okay, so they ask her, and they here's the question, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, do you think, did Tom Brady cheat? That's how they ended the question. Did Tom Brady cheat? And you could tell this girl either, number one, had no clue, or number two,
was scared.
Was just completely blindsided because literally every other question up until her had been political issues, had been this had happened in the news. How do you feel about this important world issue? And then she gets the Deflategate question, and I literally I almost threw my remote at the TV because I was like, I am done. I'm like, we need to just walk away. But thankfully, she answered it respectfully. She's like, look, if you're accused of... And I could tell she dodged around the question.
Yeah, she did.
She was like, if you cheat, I think Tom Brady should be convicted. Cheating is not good. He should have been suspended. That's fine. But in that regards, I was like, are you serious? Like, you don't... First of all, I was just mad at the judge for asking that question. Second of all, I thought she handled the question well. But overall, I was like, Deflategate and Miss America, just no. Oil water. No.
Do you want to know the funny thing about that?
What is the funny thing about it?
I got a notification to my phone.
Oh, my gosh.
Showing me to a video to watch.
Somebody thought that was... Oh, my gosh. I think that is absolutely stupid.
Oh.
I'm glad that she answered it well. I'm glad that she did. I'm happy that she won. I know, but...
Right.
As soon as... Okay, because there was like a country music star, whoever that was asking the question, he's like... In recent events in Deflategate, and I looked at my wife. I was like, "Are you kidding?" She's like, "What?" Because she doesn't know much about what's been going on with it. And I was like, "Just no. You don't ask, and then you don't just ask, did he cheat? You don't just do that in front of millions of people that are watching. You don't just be straight up about it."
Well, because it's more opinion than facts based.
It is, yes, but still, just for everything that the Miss America organization embodies.
Well, I guess I see where you're
that.
coming from, because it's not really an appropriate setting to be doing that.
No, it was not. But it is an appropriate setting.
For the children, that's
for the children. 90% of the viewing audience are female for Miss America. Nobody cares about Deflategate.
Right.
Anyway, but I do care, Grant, about your rant. Because it is Monday, which means it is time for Grant's Rant, the part of our show where Grant gets a minute to rant about anything he wants in the sports world, and then we get to hash it out in a little bit further detail. All right, are you ready, Grant?
I'm more than ready.
Okay.
I am psyched.
You are psyched? You're thrilled? Are you going to smack people around?
Probably not.
Okay.
Oh, that's actually kind of...
You see what I did there?
Yeah, I see what you did there.
All right, minute on the clock, Gant. Gant, you know who you are. Gant, get ready to want. Here you go. Where do you go?
The Cincinnati Bengals cornerback, Adam Pac-Man Jones, against the Oakland Raiders. That's who they played. After a 60-yard run by their fullback, took Amari Cooper, tackled him to the ground first off, then ripped his helmet off, took his head and basically slammed Amari Cooper's head into his helmet that was lying on the ground. It was absolutely brutal. And the refs were standing right there. And Hex, you made a comment when you were watching it. Instead of going in there and breaking it up, the refs are just like, "Oh, here, throw the flag," and then they got involved. But I'm absolutely just floored that he was not, in the bad way, that he was not ejected from the game. He should have major consequences from this, because it was serious. Like, it was a brutal hit, and I was like, oh my goodness. So yeah, not good.
Time's up. No, honestly, it was not a good situation. When I heard about it, I was like, okay, maybe you get the notification on your phone or whatever. You're like, okay, something must have happened. Let me go look. And then you go and look at it, and you're like, oh, whoa. Like, it was, you don't tackle a guy, sit on top of them, and then literally take their head and slam it into a helmet.
Especially my boy, Amari Cooper. You just don't do that.
What? Amari Cooper's your boy?
Yeah.
Since when?
Since I'm saying he's going to go be Rookie of the Year.
When did you say that?
Like, I said it before the show.
Well, yeah, but you never said it live on the show.
Yeah, I've said it live on the show before.
What?
Yeah.
When?
Oh, maybe not.
Check the archives. But seriously, though, I'm a little upset about that, because Amari Cooper is a young, promising talent in the NFL, and there's no reason I was going to use a word.
Washed up?
Yes. Washed up is a great word.
Use
washed up. Pac-Man Jones is washed up, that's the word I wanted to use, cornerback who doesn't need to be playing in the league anymore with all of the issues he's had. But I should not be surprised, because in the NFL is the only place where you can kill somebody, beat somebody, smack somebody, sell drugs, rape somebody, deflate a football, and still keep your job. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. Is anybody else out there going to debate me on that?
Oh, boy.
Tell me any other job that you can have and keep your job.
Oh, boy.
If you do any of those things.
Woof.
Anybody? Anybody out there?
No,
I didn't think so.
No,
I didn't think so. I'm going to be smart, and we're going to go to a break so we can all relax.
You have been just getting
I am
salty
fired
today.
up today, Grant.
You should have a rant. Holy crap.
This whole show is my rant. We'll be right back. Woo. This is the Baxton Grant Sports Show. Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Grant.
Welcome back inside the studio as we continue on with our NFL-heavy show. I feel like it'll probably be a pretty solid tradition for us here on Mondays during the NFL season as we continue to talk about the exciting week that was. No. You're trying to no. Why would you? I mean, would you like to make a mention about it? Because someone did ask a question about it or make a statement about it. Okay. Stepping out of the NFL realm for a second and quickly skimming through the MLB drive-through, what do you have for us, Grant?
I was just going to say, just a quick little update
Please.
About my Cardinals. You know, they're doing
Cardinals.
They're doing real bad lately.
Bad?
They've
Still
dropped,
top of the division, though.
Yeah, but they've dropped like 5 of the last 7.
Oh, well, it's not their own.
And now the Pirates are only 2.5 games back. And somebody just brought that up. So, yes, the Pittsburgh Pirates are 2.5 games back. Looking to close races throughout the rest of the MLB, the Texas Rangers are game and a half back of the Houston Astros. And the New York Yankees are 3.5 games back of the Toronto Blue Jays. So some close divisional matchups going on. We also have the wild card, which we have some fairly close.
Brewers are making a push.
I guess you could say the push. I think it's actually impossible for the Brewers to get into the playoffs. And somebody asks, what do y'all do during the summer since the Brewers suck? I'm a Cardinals fan, so I still celebrate all the W's, but Milwaukee
I don't
Brewer
care
games
about baseball,
Brewer
I
games
follow
are
soccer.
actually really fun. Like if you ever get a chance to go to a Brewer game, it's
they are
actually
enjoyable.
Even though
yes.
they don't win, they're actually pretty fun games.
Yeah, no, I don't mind that. Yeah, we had a person ask us on Periscope of what we do during the summertime. Since the Brewers suck, and the honest answer, like we just heard, Grant follows the Cardinals, and I don't follow baseball. I follow Major League Soccer during the summer, so I follow a real sport.
Really?
Oh, yeah. No, anyway, I mean, soccer's life. Anyway, Grant, so the NFL, as we know, Week 1 was full of interesting storylines, and it's also the first time that NFL teams have the opportunity to evaluate their rookies, how they feel they did, how good or not the team considered their draft picks to do this year. And we saw some teams do well. We saw some rookies play exceptionally well. And we saw some rookies that probably would have rather had, not have played. Yeah, to be frank with it.
Get this. This just in. First time in NFL history that 2 Heisman Trophy winners that played in their first opening career game throwing a touchdown pass to the same team.
Now, how is that possible, Grant?
I don't know. Maybe it's because Jameis Winston on his very first NFL pass threw a pick six.
He did. He threw a pick six to a Tennessee defensive back.
That's hilarious.
And there was no turning back. And then we see Marcus Mariota throw 4 in the first half, Grant, touchdowns for the Tennessee Titans.
I saw a picture on NFL memes, if anybody has seen any of stuff from them.
They do good stuff.
They have hilarious stuff. So check them out on Facebook if you have the chance, because I laugh. But as most of you know, the Buccaneers passed up Marcus Mariota to go for Jameis Winston in the first round.
They did.
And Baxter and I were both like, why not Marcus? Because he's just...
I've always been Team Marcus.
Yes. And the NFL memes comes out after halftime and says what Buccaneers fans are doing watching Marcus Mariota. It's a guy drinking a big bottle of Clorox.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're a little dark, but it was like, yeah, come on, Buccaneers. You had the first pick, and you go ahead and you draft Winston.
I mean,
who did have 2 touchdown passes.
He did. He did throw 2 touchdowns after
2 interceptions.
He did have 2 interceptions, which, I mean, take it for what it is.
Rookie quarterback, learning the system, learning the...
I think it's interesting, too, that even with as well as Mariota played, that on the Titans Buccaneers game, the box score, Jameis Winston is posted as the top passing performer.
It's probably because he had more yards.
Did he have more passing yards?
I think it goes...
How do you throw 4 touchdowns? He had more yards. He had 1 more yard. And And that is what makes him the better quarterback. All right, ESPN. Okay.
They just have to go by one stat.
I know. But still, the man, Mariota, goes 13 of 16 for 209 yards and 4 touchdowns. He had a perfect quarterback rating yesterday. Literally. Like, there is such thing as a perfect quarterback rating, and that is a 158.3, and that is exactly what he had. In his first NFL start, Grant.
That's pretty good.
Jameis Winston had a 64.
It is against the Buccaneers defense.
Irrelevant.
But still, yeah, as a rookie quarterback, still really good job.
Yeah. I thought that was very good. I think some other notable rookie performances as we look around the league. Amir Abdullah for the Detroit Lions. His first carry as an NFL player. First carry. First snap of the ball. First handoff. There you go, Amir. Go run. 24-yard touchdown. That's a way to start
Just like
off.
that.
Just like that. Boom, bam, baby. Right up the middle. How did Amari Cooper do yesterday?
Amari Cooper had 5 receptions for 47 yards.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
9.4 average, and as long as 24, he was targeted 9 times.
Which makes sense. But it was unfortunate, too, because the Raiders did lose Derek Carr early in that game.
Yeah, which is really unfortunate for them. He had an Achilles tear, right?
Or that was Terrell Suggs.
That was Terrell Suggs.
I don't know what happened to Derek Carr. I've not heard officially.
There was a couple injuries, big injuries yesterday that Des Bryant had a broken foot, and Carr got
4 to 6. And I find it interesting, too, as one that's had foot surgery, which is such a walk in the park. Emphasis on not walking. That he has a fractured right foot, and he's only going to be out 4 to 6 weeks. I had I had a little bit deeper foot surgery than he did, and I was out for like 3 months minimum.
Well, I mean, these guys with their recovery programs and the fitness that they go through,
True.
Because this is their job, so they're getting back there as fast as possible. Like, they have money poured into how fast can you get somebody out destroying people after they blow their foot open,
I hope they didn't blow their foot open. That sounds like a Plexico Burress shooting himself in the leg kind of issue.
Ooh.
Too soon? Probably not. Anyway.
That was years ago.
Right? That's people nowadays are like, who's Plexico Burress? Plexiglass Burress, as I used to call him as a kid.
Too?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I used to call him.
Yeah. I would always call him Plexiglass. I thought that was...
I did the same thing.
Oh, my gosh. Small world.
Immaturities.
I love it. Well, also looking around, some other notable performances was Tyler Lockett. So Seattle Seahawks fans, even though they lost yesterday, sorry, not sorry.
So happy about that.
Honestly. Tyler Lockett, though, he's been proving to be quite a good pickup for them. He had a 57-yard punt return for a touchdown yesterday.
And I forget the stat that they had, but it was like 150-plus punt returns, or maybe 150 plus games, one of the two. Probably
for St. Louis,
for Seattle.
For Seattle.
I think it was punt returns that they have gone without a punt return for a touchdown.
Wow.
So
Tyler Lockett,
much needed touchdown, but still Seattle Seahawks losing the game in overtime.
No, I understand. I mean, it was very interesting. Now I'm curious from a fantasy perspective now as we move forward, if some people don't have Marcus Mariota on their team, if some don't have Jameis Winston or do,
right?
Even Amir Abdullah, Amari Cooper. I'm sure Amari Cooper and Amir Abdullah are probably on teams, but Marcus Mariota, Jameis Winston, probably guys that weren't on teams, or if they were, maybe got dropped.
Well, in our league, somebody dropped Marcus Mariota to pick up Blake Bortles.
That worked out well, but Bortles didn't start though.
Right.
And I wouldn't have started
That's
hard to say that
Buccaneers,
hard to say that I wouldn't have started Mariota if I had had him on my team, because Tampa Bay's defense is atrocious.
Yeah, but then again, this is probably the only game you'd really want to use him unless he's also going up against another really bad defense.
That is very true.
Because Marcus Mariota is not going to have numbers like this every day. He's gonna if he's going to go up against a tougher defense, he might get picked a couple times because younger quarterback. So I wouldn't pick him. I wouldn't use him as like a for sure solid starter. But I mean, if he's still available in your league, and let's say they're going up against the Buccaneers again or something like that, and with a bad defense, I mean, clearly he did really well gashing that Buccaneers defense.
So. I thought he did very well yesterday.
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta commend the man for how well he played, and moving forward, we'll see just kind of what all is there for Mariota and the Titans as well. As as we look forward, though, I mean, we'll see. Jameis Winston, it was the first game. He did throw 2 touchdowns, so he's able to get a little bit of confidence back. But he was booed off the field by Buccaneer fans as well yesterday.
They're just upset.
It is. No,
They're
it is very upsetting. All right, we're going to go to another break. When we come back, Connor Christensen will be joining us, as he does on most Mondays, for his fitness tip. You're not going to want to miss it. This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show. Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Grant.
Welcome back inside the studio as we are here on a Monday edition of the Bax and Grant Sports Show. Remember, you can check us out Monday through Friday right here on sportsradioamerica.com from 11 to 1 p.m. Central Time on Live 365 and tune in. You can also catch us live as well from 7 to 8 a.m. Central on Spreaker.com. That's Central Time. Bax and Grant here with you, having a good old time. NFL heavy show. And we are excited as we continue to move on with our show. You doing okay?
Yeah, I'm.
You look
I'm
like you're in some pain or something.
I'm good.
You good? Just need a moment? Okay. Well, while you're taking a moment, you sure? I'm worried about you. Are you gonna be okay?
Yeah, I'll be good.
Okay. All right. You go do your thing. It's totally fine. I'm gonna bring in Connor Christensen now, as it is our Monday edition, which means Connor Christensen has his fitness tip. Connor, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm worried about Grant though. Is he okay?
He seems to be.
Okay?
He seems to be fine. I think he needed some water. He looked like he was having a hard time. Like must have swallowed air wrong or something. So he excused himself for a moment to get some water. So you're.
It happens.
It does. Happens to the best of us. I remember, sometimes breathing is a difficult task, and a little bit of water helps. So all right. Well, Connor, what do you got for us this week, sir?
All right. So my fitness tip today. Last week, I mentioned some like a new concept that I was doing some research on that I was talking about, but I didn't really get a whole lot of time to really talk about what it means. And that when I mentioned muscle viruses last time, so I didn't have a whole ton of time to actually talk about what a muscle virus is and how you can correct them. So I want to give that a little bit of time this morning.
Okay.
When I'm talking about a muscle virus, I am talking about a muscle or a group of muscles that are performing in a way that they are not supposed to. So that can mean several different things. That can mean we had a friend in college who was a tennis player, and his right arm was way stronger than his left arm. That is a muscle virus. And that is caused because he plays tennis. So he uses his right arm much more than he uses his left arm. Mm-hmm. So how do you correct that? You work the left arm more. And it can be as simple as that. There are other types of muscle viruses that are not as simple. There are I had a friend who was talking to me, and he said, Connor, I'm doing my deadlifts, and my right leg seems to be stronger than my left leg, and I don't know what's going on.
Interesting.
And the parts of the muscles that people overlook sometimes is the nerves, the nerve endings that go to the muscles and tell them what to do and how hard to work. Because that's what your neuromuscular system does.
Mm-hmm.
It goes to the muscle and it says, okay, I need this many muscle fibers to do this amount of work so that I can, lift this heavy thing. All of your nerve endings come out of your spine. So if you're having muscular imbalances and you don't have a muscular reason for that imbalance, it's probably a nerve imbalance. And then you have to start thinking about, how can I have a nerve imbalance when, I am in good shape? There's nothing that should be wrong. However, your spine, the vertebra, you have a lot of vertebra. If one of them is slightly out of place, it can press on the spine in such a way that it doesn't necessarily cause you pain, but it can go off your muscular balance. So at the top of the spine, you have your atlas vertebra, and it is different than the rest of your vertebra because it is not locked in place.
Oh,
it floats.
Wow!
Yes, it floats, and it's the one at the top. Atlas is it was named Atlas after the I think it was a Greek titan from mythology who holds the world on his back, and that's what Atlas does. It holds your head on it. So. It's floating there, and a lot of times it will float out of place, and then you need to go see a chiropractor, a physical therapist, someone who can adjust your atlas so that it is in the correct location.
Mm-hmm.
And once your atlas is in the correct location, the rest of the spine follows suit. And then you will find even the next day that, okay, now my legs are back to normal and they're lifting the same. Perfect. Muscular balance achieved. No more muscle virus. Bodybuilding creates a lot of muscle viruses when done improperly. So you look at the big guys like, Arnold and all of those old times really big bodybuilders, and their physiques are perfect, right? But people who don't entirely know what to do when they're trying to get bigger, trying to have that perfect physique, they'll do exercises in such a way that the muscles will pull on certain joints. So your shoulders have tons of different muscles around it. So you have some in the front, some on the side, some in the back, and then some deeper, closer to the joint. And if just one of those muscles is overtrained compared relative to the other one, it can pull that joint forward or backward or up or down or what have you, and that will throw off the rest of the muscles. And you can just create a muscle virus. So, and anytime we're talking about a muscle virus, we're talking about a muscle not doing the action that it should or causing other muscles to not be able to do their desired action. And the way that you fix those is by you work at bringing back balance, whether that's I need to go to the chiropractor and I need to get adjusted so that my spine is straight again and then I can go hit the gym. Or I need to make sure that I'm working all of these different muscle groups equally so that one is not overdeveloped. You see a lot of people like hunched over, leaned forward with their shoulders out forward. And then to me, I'm thinking, wow, I must have really tight pecs because your pecs are what pull your shoulders in. That's why you do pec flies, and that really works the chest. So if you're all hunched over, you need to straighten out. You need to stretch out your pecs. Muscle virus gone.
Now,
all about balance.
I was going to say, sorry, so when you were talking about the balance aspect of it, when you have, like you were saying, muscles out of place and you need to go to the chiropractor and, get something that gets worked out, is there, because I've heard different stories with people saying, well, I can, going to a chiropractor doesn't always work for me, getting a massage sometimes helps. Is one way more beneficial, or should they be done hand in hand to help?
There are more beneficial methods for sure. But it all depends on what your issue is. So I'm the first one to say that I have had terrible, absolutely horrendous chiropractors. I have hip problems because a chiropractor misdiagnosed me and was, cranking on my leg, tugging on my leg, trying to fix my leg length, when it was my hip that was the problem, not my leg.
Oh.
So he's sitting there pulling on my leg, and it hurts. And I say, hey, this hurts. And he says, oh, you'll be fine. And, we didn't go back to that chiropractor because, well, one, we moved, but that doesn't matter.
Exactly.
But, I have to work very hard to keep my hips balanced because my right hip is very loose now because this chiropractor tugged on it when it didn't need to be tugged on. So you have to go to whether it's a chiropractor, like the chiropractor I go to now, I trust with, all of these things. He will correctly diagnose me. He knows exactly what's going on. He knows how to fix it. He's an extremely intelligent man. I'm pro physical therapy. I really like physical therapists. I think they have a much more well-rounded education in school to learn how to diagnose different things. Physical therapists take it much more at an exercise level where it's like, okay, you have pain in your knee. Let's strengthen the muscles around that, and then you'll be fine. They know about bones as well, so they can help you if you have an alignment issue, like I was mentioning, and that's what a chiropractor does. They help your alignment. Or if you, like you were saying, you go and you get a massage, that is relieving the tension in your muscles. And I think a lot of people, they don't appreciate massage therapy enough because when you go and get a massage, you don't go and get a massage just to feel good. Like it does feel good because you're relieving the tension in your muscles. But the purpose of a massage is to correct muscle viruses. That's the point. So you go into, you had a long day at work, my neck is killing me. I can't stand up right now because my feet hurt, all of these things. You go, you get a massage, they work the tension out, you feel great, you go back about your day, and you're good for a while. So there is no one method that's better than the other. It all depends on what your issue is.
Okay.
So what I was talking about with the spine, you might want to go see a chiropractor. A massage therapist isn't going to be able to move your spine in such a way that it corrects itself. A chiropractor is going to know exactly where to, crack your back or adjust your back, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to know how to do that in order to straighten you out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well,
it's all about the issue.
It is. It's all about the issue. It's all about where it is located. And I definitely, and I'm sure Grant can attest to that too. You get different injuries throughout the course of your playing career, and you're always just like, hey, should I go get it, looked at? Should I not? Depending on where it's located. And there's different methods, like you mentioned, to getting things worked at. Well, before we let you go, Connor, we want to switch gears with you quickly, so thank you for your fitness tip. But we want to talk also about the Vikings tonight, as the Minnesota Vikings take on the San Francisco 49ers tonight in the second of the 2 Monday Night Football games. Adrian Peterson returns to the field for the Vikings, which is an exciting thing, and I feel a lot of Vikings fans are excited about it. I think just NFL fans as a whole are also excited for this game.
For sure.
What is something that, as the Vikings offense takes the field tonight, that people need to be watching for?
Well, I mean, whenever Vikings offense takes the field, you can't help but watch Adrian Peterson. The guy is a freak of nature. He is so good. He is so talented. Just his raw athletic ability by itself is astounding. So I had a friend of mine the other day. He's like, I'm worried to see Adrian Peterson come back because, it's been a while. He didn't play last season, all of this stuff. And in my head, I'm going, don't worry about him. Adrian Peterson knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's done this before. He's hungry. He wants he's a break. And a season where he did not do much, I'm sure while he was, under house arrest or whatever, that he was just working out constantly because, how else are you going to relieve stress?
Yeah, exactly.
And, he's hungry. He wants it. He's going to bring it. Be ready to see him be explosive. I really think that he's going to do well. And, the other big offensive thing is, of course, Teddy.
Yes.
All eyes are on Teddy because he has to prove himself. He still does. The same person I was talking to came out and said, "Oh man, so good for me." And I, me, a Vikings fan all my life, I'm worried with anyone who's at the quarterback position, because let's face it, you look at our quarterbacks, since Randall Cunningham, we have not had a really good quarterback. Some people are like, "Oh, Dante Culpepper, you weren't watching the games." If you think Dante Culpepper was a really good quarterback, you were not watching the game.
What about Brett Favre?
He is not. Brett Favre, by the time we got him, he was no longer a great quarterback.
Oh.
I'm sorry to say that.
He took you to an NFC Championship game.
So is that just okay? Here, let me take Brett Favre out of that. Put Christian Ponder in there and see if you guys get that far.
You don't.
All right, my point has been made. You may continue.
I never said he was a bad quarterback.
Kind of implied it.
He was no longer an elite quarterback.
Well, obviously at that point,
and
he
that's
wasn't.
true, and you can't debate that. So just don't even Grant.
You can't
Have
even.
enough of your shenanigans.
Oh, he's
come here and fight me.
Wow.
You look at Christian Ponder. Look at Christian Ponder with me for a second. Now, we drafted him first round. I can't remember what year it was. I think it was 2012. Whatever it was.
That was a while ago.
2010. I forgot. But we drafted him first round, because we thought that he would be the next big thing.
Yes.
And then you look at his career, and it has been way more downs than ups. However, I recall a couple of years ago, when the second half of the season, Christian Ponder looked very good. We went to the playoffs when we hadn't in a couple of years. He was connecting with, especially Kyle Rudolph at the time, but he was making passes, he was getting touchdowns, he was doing well. And then the season ended. And then we were going into next season being like, okay, if Ponder can continue to do this, we can get behind him as a quarterback. And then we all saw how that turned out.
Yep,
he did not do well, lost his starting position, and now he's not even on the team anymore. So, with everybody saying, "Well, Teddy had such a great end of the season last season," and I'm like, "Yes, but that doesn't." But he still has to prove himself.
No, I agree.
He has not solidified his spot. Well, I mean, he is the starter. He is, because he's the best the Vikings have to offer. But he has not solidified that franchise quarterback name yet.
No, and I think we'll see a lot of that. I think tonight it will be a good indication to see just how well he does, and then I think the first half of the season will be, up until the bye week, we'll see what the Vikings are capable of doing. So, well, Connor, we appreciate your time today, and we look forward to speaking to you again later on in the week. Thank you much, man.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Anytime. All right, we're going to one more break. When we come back, we're going to briefly walk around. We're going to walk a flock of flame around the NFL, apparently, and check out the games that happen and point out a few notable scorelines as well. We'll be right back. This is the Baxton Grand Sports Show. Welcome back to the Baxton Grand Sports Show, presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax.
And this is Brand.
Welcome back inside the studio as we get ready to wrap things up here. We just spoke with Connor Christensen in our last segment, hearing from his fitness tip and also his thoughts on the Vikings-49ers game this coming evening. One of two NFL games left in Week 1, Eagles-Falcons and Vikings-49ers tonight. we'll see what happens in those games.
That Eagles game is going to be extremely interesting with the new Chip Kelly offense.
For the entire game.
Yeah, pretty much. It's going to be interesting to see, and I'm definitely shaking in my boots because David Kenyon has two Eagles players
in fantasy football.
Even though I have a very comfortable 46-point lead.
Anything's possible.
Yes,
Sam Bradford could toss 10 touchdowns tonight.
I'd cry.
I would laugh.
I would cry.
I'd cry for you and then laugh.
Yeah, I'd probably laugh too. I'd be like, he knows. He knows everything.
He does. He's a smart man. Well, Grant, before we head off today, we want to just walk through each game really fast. As we know, Thursday night, Patriots beat the Steelers 28-31. We already talked about that game in pretty full detail. Packers, Bears, we talked about in our first segment today, winning 31-23. Kansas City Chiefs beating the Houston Texans 27-20.
Who owned the Chiefs?
What?
It's actually I'm pretty sure that's from Slapshot.
Oh,
so a totally different sport. But
I was like,
anyway,
I don't even know what you're saying. But
an
interesting fact about
who
the
owned the Chiefs. But
nobody.
The
Kansas
City Chiefs wide receivers has still not caught a touchdown pass.
2 touchdowns to the tight end, 1 to Jamal Charles as Alex Smith throws 3 touchdowns.
And Travis Kelce is that said tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Indeed he is. Then you have the New York Jets beating down on the Cleveland Browns 31-10. We saw Johnny Manziel come into the game and throw a touchdown, and we thought...
Very nice touchdown, in fact.
It was only a 4-point game at halftime. Thought it might have been a possibility, and then just didn't end up working out for the Browns in the end.
He did throw a couple interceptions, however, but I mean...
But apparently he did better than Ryan Fitzpatrick because ESPN considers him to be a top performer in the game.
It's probably by the yards. You got to get over that fact and just know that it's by the yards.
Chris Ivory had a good game, though. 2 touchdowns, 20 carries, 91 yards. I'll give him that. I'll give it to him. The surprise game, I feel, of the week, though, Grant. Buffalo Bills taking out the Indianapolis Colts. Many folk had picked the Indianapolis Colts to potentially be a dark horse for the Super Bowl this year. And the Buffalo Bills.
Colts for a...
Colts.
For a dark horse, I don't think it's a dark horse. I think as a heavier favorite. But then after this game, I guess you can maybe consider them a dark horse.
Potentially, yes.
Because they didn't play well at all.
No, they did not. Tyrod Taylor and company coming out and playing exceptionally well as the Bills take out the Colts 27-14.
Andrew Luck, 26 for 49. 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions.
Then we have in the great capital of the U.S. of A., the Washington Redskins couldn't hold on to defeat the Miami Dolphins, and they end up losing to the Dolphins by a score of 17-10. Ryan Tannehill, 22 of 34, 226 yards, and a touchdown. Alfred Morris had a great day on the ground, though, for the Redskins. 25 carries, 121
Which
yards.
is concerning for that Dolphins defense because with Ndamukong Suh and just that
Cameron Wake and a few others on that team.
That Dolphins defense that everybody has been saying is going to be excellent. Then they get 120 yards put on them just on the ground game.
Mm-hmm. No, I completely agree with you on that one. Panthers, Jaguars, the one game you probably would have had to pay Grant and I to go to. Panthers come away with a victory in this one, 20-9. That wasn't really expecting much, honestly, out of this game. So good for them, I suppose. Cam Newton, though, did well, but unfortunately the big news was the middle linebacker, Luke, I'm going to butcher his last name. Kuechly?
That's why I was like, you should do it because I know who he is.
I think it's Kuechly, or it's a version of that. Anyway, their big middle linebacker that just signed.
Yeah, he just had that huge contract.
Yeah, he just signed a new 5-year deal just last week, and now he is out with a concussion. The timetable has not been released. And then, Grant, the game.
It was so good.
The St. Louis Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson is 1-2, now 1-3 against St. Louis in St. Louis. And we saw it happen again.
We just talked about it before this segment, but it was great, Baxter. Russell Wilson, before the game on Twitter, tweeted just simply 1-0.
Mm-hmm.
Then, of course, Rams win in overtime. The social media guy for the Rams has a screenshot of that and said, "Hey, Russell Wilson, don't delete this." Mm-hmm. And then just, here, I'm going to leave this here.
The media was like, oh,
got him.
That was really good.
But
just brutal.
I'm telling you, I've been saying it last season, and Not so much this season,
No.
because people haven't been really talking about them. But the Rams are not a bad team.
They're not.
Nick Foles, he did fairly well yesterday, and the Rams as a whole did very well. What was big carrying over from last year to this year is that they were able to finish out the games.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, I think that they lost to the Seahawks. I believe, if I can remember correctly.
Towards the end of the season, they did lose, yes.
Yes.
After they had a playoff shot, and then they lost, and that kind of ruined everything for them.
Yes, but that game, I'm pretty sure it was close. And they were close to a couple other big teams.
Yes.
And now, it's kind of like the Minnesota Vikings. And now, they can kind of now transition to being a team that can close out games with Nick Foles, who does not have the amount of injuries that Sam Bradford had. And then before we move on to another game, one thing that did make me really mad that I almost ranted about, but if I was watching the Packer game, the Packer-Bear game ended, and then they were like, ooh, bonus coverage because there's a game in overtime. And this happens all the time.
It does.
And I was like, fine, cool. More football that I can watch, and it's a close game in overtime. So Seahawks, gamble. They do an onside kick even though you are guaranteed a possession, and give Rams great field position. They score a field goal, and then the big controversy, they ran it on 4th and 1 this time and got stuffed in the backfield. There's going to just be explosions about that. But after the Rams scored their field goal, they were like, okay, we'll bring you updates. They go to commercial, they come back, and then they just start talking and not showing the game, and they're like, due to NFL rules, we are not able to show the end of the game.
I would like to see the rules. I'm not trying to question it, but I just would like to know.
I have no idea because I've seen plenty of the end of games.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, that were in overtime after the game I was watching was done. I've done that tons of times.
Many, many years I've seen that happen. So it was a good win, though, for the Rams, I feel, as they need to move forward as Seattle will travel to Green Bay this coming week. So there's a possible chance that Seattle starts 0-2 this year. We'll see if it happens or not, but you can be hopeful. Cardinals and Saints. Cardinals getting their first victory of the year. They win 31-19 over the Saints. The Detroit Lions can't hold on to a late lead as they are dealt a loss, a 33-28 loss to the Chargers. Melvin Gordon didn't have a great day for the Chargers yesterday, but as we mentioned off air, kind of a oil water bit for Wisconsin running backs and the NFL,
yeah,
unfortunately.
Pretty much.
Titans-Buccaneers, we talked about that game earlier. 42-14 victory for the Titans. Bengals and Raiders. This was a game that was 33-0 before the Raiders finally got on the board. And final score goes 33-13 in favor of the Bengals. Broncos defeat the Ravens 19-13. Peyton Manning doesn't throw a touchdown, does throw an interception, but they still find a way to win the game.
I feel like that's a little bit of a shocker. I was picking the Ravens going into that game.
There you go. Okay, yeah, I was kind of on the fence for that, and I did pick Denver overall, but yeah, a little bit of surprise. And then your Sunday night football game ending in dramatic fashion. Tony Romo issuing another fourth quarter comeback as the Cowboys defeat the Giants 27-26.
He did throw 2 interceptions, however.
He did. 3 touchdowns, 2 picks, 356 yards. So 2 more NFL games to talk about, which we will talk about tomorrow on the Baxter Grand Sports Show. We're excited for the 2 different games happening tonight, the Falcons and Eagles, and the 49ers and the Vikings as well. Thank you so much for tuning in to another edition of the Baxter Grand Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. Thanks to Connor Christensen for coming on and talking about his fitness tip as well. Remember, you can catch us right here Monday through Friday from 7 to 8 a.m. Central right here on Spreaker.com and on SportsRadioAmerica.com as well, Live 365, and tune in.
You can also find us on Facebook at the Baxter Grand Sports Show. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at BG Sports Show. Baxter is on Twitter at Baxter Colburn, and I am at Grantsrand BGSS.
Absolutely. Remember, if you want to ever get a hold of the show, you can shoot us an email at bgsportshow@gmail.com. Thanks to all of you that watched us on Periscope as well. Appreciate all of you and your viewership, and keep your comments a little bit nicer next time, I swear. Otherwise, I'm going to have to, throw something at the Periscope screen.
Throw a chair.
See, I almost did.
Give him the chair.
I'll go all Pac-Man Jones and Amari Cooper on the helmet with him.
That was brutal.
That was
like,
too brutal. Way too brutal.
You should look at it. If you haven't seen it, your discretion is advised.
Seriously.
It's a little I was like, holy cow!
Don't show it to your children.
I was really surprised that he didn't get ejected.
No, and I hope he gets
He'll
get a fine.
He should get a
hopefully.
suspension.
Hopefully.
He should get a game suspension for that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you all again tomorrow. The Encyclopedia, David Kenyon, he'll be on the show tomorrow. You're not going to want to miss it. Another exciting show for you tomorrow. Remember, if it happens in the sports world, Grant's either going to rant about it or we're going to debate it here on the Bax and Grant Sports Show. Enjoy your day, everyone.